did you start it?
Yep.
Just needs to come back. Should be fine. Ew.
We're good. Yeah, looks like it. Cool. Yep. Yep, there we go. Yep. Yep, we're live, we're all set. Alright, cool. Yep. Hello everyone. Welcome back to our daily Bible reading. I'm Khalil. And this is
I'm Xavier.
today we're going to be continuing our reading with Exodus 22. Last time we left off reading about Moses right after he brought the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, the Red Sea being split for Israel to walk across dry ground, and it being closed back up onto the Egyptians, who were all killed and drowned. Israel being guided by the Lord through the wilderness, cloud by day, a pillar of fire by night. And we just get to see the children of Israel, the beginning of what we'll see a lot more throughout the book of like Exodus, as well as like Leviticus and Numbers as well, just how continually they would lose faith in the Lord and they would murmur against him, despite all the things that the Lord had done for them and shown them up to that point, or even continue to do for them even after that point. But we last we left off, when we start entering the beginning with Exodus 20, Exodus 21, we started seeing the beginning of the Lord's law and the commandments that he gave to Israel for all to keep. And yeah, that's where we'll be picking up today, Exodus 22. But since today is February 13th, we will be starting with our daily Proverbs, Proverbs 13. So yeah. You want to get me?
You got it, bro.
All right, cool. All right. Proverbs 13 and verse 1. A wise son heareth his father's instruction, but a scorner heareth not rebuke. A man shall eat good by the fruit of his mouth, but the soul of the transgressors shall eat violence. He that keepeth his mouth keepeth his life, but he that openeth wide his lips shall have destruction. The soul of the sluggard desireth, and hath nothing, but the soul of the diligent shall be made fat. A righteous man hateth lying, but a wicked man is loathsome and cometh to shame. Righteousness keepeth him that is upright in the way, but wickedness overthroweth the sinner. There is that maketh himself rich, yet hath nothing. There is that maketh himself poor, yet hath great riches. The ransom of a man's life are his riches, but the poor heareth not rebuke. The light of the righteous rejoiceth, but the lamp of the wicked shall be put out. Only by pride cometh contention, but with the well-advised is wisdom. Wealth gone by vanity shall be diminished, but he that gathereth by labor shall increase. Hope deferred maketh the heart sick, but when desire cometh, is the tree of life. Whoso despiseth the word shall be destroyed, but he that feareth the commandment shall be rewarded. The law of the wise is a fountain of life, to depart from the snares of death. Good understanding giveth favor, but the way of transgressors is hard. Every prudent man dealeth with knowledge, but a fool layeth open his folly. A wicked messenger falleth into mischief, but a faithful ambassador is health. Poverty and shame shall be to him that refuseth instruction, but he that regardeth reproof shall be honored. The desire accomplished is sweet to the soul, but it is abomination to fools to depart from evil. He that walketh with wise men shall be wise, but a companion of fools shall be destroyed. Evil pursueth sinners, but to the righteous good shall be repaid. A good man leaveth an inheritance to his children's children, and the wealth of the sinner is laid up for the just. Much food is in the tillage of the poor, but there is that is destroyed for want of judgment. He that spareth his rod hateth his son, but he that loveth him chasteneth him betimes. The righteous eateth to the satisfying of his soul, but the belly of the wicked shall want.
Good reading, man.
Thank you.
Where the heck the pens go?
The pens?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh,
here.
chapter 13. There's quite a bit about this chapter that I really like. 1 verse 3, where it says, "He that keepeth his mouth keepeth his life." Really, that's just going to show like how necessary it is to learn how to be quiet. You know what I mean? Because sometimes, like, there's multiple ways we can talk entirely too much, like bearing false witness. A lot of times we bear false witness all the time without even thinking about it. Like when we start talking about these famous people and how we swear we know their lives and what's going on in it, like we're bearing false witness most of the time because we don't know any. Even if they did do it, you don't know they did it. You know what I'm saying? Like you weren't there to witness it. You're really a false witness at this point. You're a lot like you're bearing false witness on them. So I said that to say in a lot of ways in our lives we're using our mouths and we're bringing shame on ourselves, or we're causing ourselves to sin. So Solomon right here is like, he that keepeth his mouth keepeth his life. Like learn how to be quiet. It's okay to be quiet, right? But he that openeth wide his lips shall have destruction. I also like, well, you got anything?
I mean, no, you can continue. I mean, yeah, same stuff you were saying. And I got some other stuff too, by the way.
All right. Okay. Well, I like 7 and 8 as well. It says, "There is that maketh himself rich, yet hath nothing, and there is that maketh himself poor, yet hath great riches." And just like the majority of Proverbs that we read, it's interesting because and most of it you have a like physical side and you have a spiritual side, right? I say that to say here it's like you can work your whole life to become rich in this world, but in the end, what do you really have? It says you have nothing, and there is that maketh himself poor, which means like you're not invested in this world really, but you have great riches. And then in verse 8 it says, the ransom of a man's life are his riches, but the poor. So ransom, I pulled up a few definitions of what ransom means. I'll read them real quick. Let me see. This is from I believe it's like the OEM dictionary. It's a dictionary. It says to deliver from sin/damnation or to redeem. As well as another example. This is from dictionary.com. It says the redemption of a prisoner or kidnapped person for a price. And then some of the AI synonyms that they gave me was redeem or atonement or deliverance. My point is, the ransom here is saying the redemption of a man's life, which it really is Jesus dying for us. Like those that have been redeemed of him, that's your true riches, which is why in Matthew chapter 5, I believe it's 5, around 5, where it says, seek ye after the kingdom of God. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, like, because that's the real riches right there. That's the most important thing in this life. You can get as much money as you want. You can fill all your barns up in this life. It doesn't mean anything. You can't take it with you. Remember, majority of Proverbs tells you wisdom is worth more than rubies and gold. Like, all of this physical money is vanity, but the spiritual money or the riches that we just read was us being redeemed, or us really being under the blood of Christ, which we know, and we've talked about, means that we've kept his law, kept his commandments, loved our neighbors, done everything he told us, and then we can be redeemed or atoned, fall under the blood of Christ, and that's the real riches. You know what I mean? So I thought that was real dope. But it says, but the poor here is not rebuked. The poor in this case are those that haven't been redeemed, or those that are under the blood, those who aren't doing what he says, those who aren't following him and being the Son of God. Those here is not rebuked. Like, you know what I mean? So I thought that was pretty dope. That's this chapter. But I'll let you go, because I keep going.
I mean, like, Proverbs always has a lot of good stuff, especially about righteousness, wisdom, wickedness, so on and so forth. But I think as far as like Proverbs 13, some very like specific ones that I've always really looked at is like verse 10. 10 is always one that is always good for everyone to remember, especially when you look within the Bible. You can see this a lot. Yes, probably one of the prime examples being like the book of Job, where like verse 10, only by pride comes contention, but with the well advised is wisdom. Job, in the story of Job, you start with Job 1 and Job 2, clearly telling you Job has done no wrong. But then you go the rest of the chapters, like you get to like I think it's like Job 18, around there. Job's, for people who don't know the story of Job, Job was a righteous man who Satan came up against the Lord and was like, hey, essentially Satan was trying to say like, hey, he's righteous only because you bless him, because Job was a great, rich and powerful man because the Lord blessed him. He's like, well, he only obeys you because you blessed him. So if you take away all the things you've given him, then he will curse you to your face. Then he won't be obedient anymore. So the Lord allowed it. All of his things were taken away. All his children died. And he still served the Lord. He still refused to curse God. And then same thing happened to him. I was like, hey, well, if you take his health, then he'll do it. And the Lord did the same thing. The Lord made Job sick, and Job still didn't do it. And then even the last, like his friends came came to him to comfort him because he lost everything and he's sick, right? And they ended up accusing him, 2 of the 3 friends, because they believed that because he was going through this thing, he must have done something wrong. Even though very clearly, like in Job 1 and Job 2, they say over and over, he did nothing wrong. It was simply a test from the Lord. But in trying to defend himself, Job continually argued with his friend. There was contention between Job and his friends, to the point where Job started getting out of line and justifying himself, saying like, no, I've done no wrong, I couldn't have done wrong, so on and so forth. To where at the end of Job, the Lord speaks to Job, like, hey, like, who made man's mouth? Who formed the earth? Who pulls Leviathan out of the sea and drags him away? Leviathan even referring to Satan himself, and just saying like, hey, well, I'm God. You justify yourself rather than me. All to the point that Job started getting a little proud in the fact that he wasn't willing to examine himself. He wasn't willing to consider whether his friends were right. Now, we know the end of the case was that they weren't. But still, they kept having this argument because Job wasn't willing to let go of the fact that maybe I could have been wrong, or maybe I was. Because if he never had that pride, they never would have had that whole argument. And that is even the same case with us today. You know, the saying is, it takes two to tango. Where, and that much is true in arguments and contention and discourse as well. Where you're not going to have active discourse or like active contention if one person is humble and the other is proud. Sure, you may have the proud person trying to start a fight or things of that sort, right? But the person who's being humble, they're just going to essentially ignore it. They're not going to allow that. They're not going to engage, because really when it comes to those sorts of things anyway, it's, well, what are you defending? You're defending your pride. Job was defending his pride because he was like, well, no, I didn't. I couldn't have done anything wrong. He could have just said, well, maybe I did do something wrong. We know he didn't, but he didn't know that. So he could have said, like, maybe I did do something wrong. He could have considered it, which he didn't, because he was trying to defend himself, which we can't always get caught up in doing. Sometimes we just have to be humble and just say, hey, like he says, defraud yourself.
Suffer yourself to be defrauded.
Yeah, suffer yourself to be defrauded. It's like, why do you defraud you one another? Suffer yourself to be defrauded.
What's that, 1 Corinthians?
1 Corinthians.
It's Corinthians.
It's 1 Corinthians 5? No. It may be 1. It isn't it's early 1 Corinthians. Suffer yourself to be defrauded. But still to the point that it is always still like about humility.
Yeah.
Like where the Lord says, like, hate the proud. That's even something going back to Proverbs 6, where like one of the things the Lord hates, and like they're also abomination to him. One of them was a proud look. Where it's also in pride, even you read in Ezekiel, like 26, 28, about Satan, and about how like his pride is what got him cast out of heaven. Because he lifted himself up and said, hey, I will be God.
Yeah.
But all the else is still to the point. When I think of Proverbs 13, I always think of Proverbs 13 and 10. And then even just like the second one, like 24, he that spareth his rod hateth his son, but he that loveth him chasteneth him betimes. Where, like the book will even say, hey, spoil the rod, spare the rod, spoil the child. Where that's, what's Proverbs 22?
Yeah, I think so. I don't remember though.
Where it's still to the same point where, and it works the same way even with the Lord. Where the book will talk about like the Lord disciplining us. What is that? Where it says the Lord, like a father, chasten us as though his children. Where that's New Testament. My mind's blanking where that is. I think that's also Corinthians. But still to the point that it works even the same way with the Lord. That the Lord treats us as his children, and he punishes us, he chastises us when we have done wrong, because he cares for us, and because he wants us to, like you brought a lot, to be redeemed. It's the same way as like a father would now, if he sees one of his kids going down the wrong path, a path that will hurt him or her, then he will stop them. He will chastise them. It's the same as like a kid trying to touch a hot stove. You'll slap his hand so he doesn't touch the hot stove, so they avoid a worse end. The same way. What?
Hebrews 12.
Hebrews 12? But still, yeah. So yeah, Hebrews 12 with the child example.
5 to like 11.
5 through 11? Okay. Yeah. With the like the Lord seeing us as children and chastises us as example, but still to the point. Like, and that's something again like that is throughout the whole book, and you can see here that it sometimes can be difficult to view when you're being punished, or even when you have to punish others, as it not only being necessary but the right choice. Yeah. But it is the way to, like it says, like it's the way to love your child, as it says here. You spare his rod, he hateth his son. Because ultimately, you not doing that, again, even with the Lord, if he didn't stop us from going down the wrong path, the expected end would be worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, to that point though, like on the same topic of the kids or children, verse 22, right? A good man leaveth an inheritance to his children's children, and the wealth of sinners is laid up for the just. Right, but even verse 7 and 8, when we talked about the true riches, like, yeah, physically it's good. Like I want to be able to leave something for my children and my children's children, but that doesn't mean anything. Like whether they got to start from ground zero or they start from ground 5, that really is vanity. The real riches or the real inheritance is you giving them the word of God so that they can save themselves. You know what I mean? So that they, the Bible, I think that's what Proverbs 22 and 6 is. Train up a child in the way he shall go, and when he is old, he will not depart. Like, it's your job to train up your child so that when he is old, he will not depart. That's the true inheritance that you want to leave with the children. And then your children's going to do the same thing to their children. Like, as we continue to read through Exodus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, we're going to see that that's something God told Israel to do. Like, teach this to your kids. I believe it's Deuteronomy 5 as well. Teach this to your kids so that they know me and serve me. And somewhere along the lines, we failed to do so. But the point is, that's the true inheritance. And that comes with, to your points, sometimes you got to bring that rod out. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to chastise your children. Like you're like you were saying to the whole point about God with us. Sometimes you got to get knocked in the head or humbled. You know what I mean? And it's okay to do that because you're trying to lead them that inheritance or that word of God in them. So that's the true riches. So yeah.
Proverbs 22 and 15. That's what I thought. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, foolishness is bound in the heart of a child, but the rod of correction shall drive it far from him. Yeah, that's what I thought it was. But like it still speaks to the same point, even again with both literal children and us with the Lord. And that is a really good example going straight into the children of Israel, because that's what you see continually with Israel, foolishness over and over, and the Lord doing the same thing, where he punishes them, he punishes us, and we get our act right for a bit, and then we go right back to the foolishness.
Yeah. I can't remember. I was reading today. I can't remember if it was the verse of the day. But also verse 20. He that walketh with wise men shall be wise, but a companion of fools shall be destroyed. And that just goes back really to kind of what we've been talking about the last few days, where there have been Israel and them, you got people like Korah and Numbers, 16, 15?
15, 16.
Yeah.
The number's 15. 15
where, they ended up dying because they were just with the wrong crowd, the people that was doing wrong. Or the people that was with Pharaoh, and it was like, Pharaoh, what is you doing? You tripping right now, But the point is, it's okay to cut people off, you know what I mean? Change Like you want to be dealing with wise people that want to serve the Lord. If you're not trying to serve the Lord, there's no how can two walk together except they be agreed. Amos 3:3.
Yep.
Also, don't be unequally yoked. Like I don't remember where that was at, but like a yoke is basically two cows tied together. That way they have to go the straight way. You can't be yoked with someone that ain't trying to serve God. Like, you're not going to go the same way. It's impossible. So don't yoke yourself to them. Don't bind yourself to them. All in all, be around people that want to serve God. And if they don't, it's okay. You know what I mean? But move around.
It even goes back to what we read to, I don't know, yesterday, day before, Romans 1, where not only, where the Lord just lists off a bunch of like sins essentially, and he ends it with not only those that do them, but those that take pleasure in those that do them. But
I was saying Corinthians 16. Don't be unequally yoked
with the wicked. Yeah.
But that's pretty much all I have. What about yourself?
13. I mean, there's more, but a lot of it is just the same stuff that you'll read over and over again in Proverbs. A wicked messenger, verse 17, a wicked messenger falls into mischief, but a faithful ambassador's health. Poverty and shame shall be to him that refuses instruction, but he that regards reproof shall be honored. And even that verse 18 goes back to like the pride point again, because what is stopping you from being able to take reproof, to take correction? It's your pride. Because you're unwilling to listen. Even going back to Pharaoh, like all that we saw in like Exodus, like 12 and 11, all about like Pharaoh hardened his heart. That's his pride. The same way if you were to go to like was it Daniel 4 with Nebuchadnezzar, where when in his pride he boasted, saying he is like the greatest king in like all the earth. But because of his pride, the Lord like abased him to where he was literally like a wild animal for several years. I think that is Daniel 4, because it's like right after the like tower. But still to the point, there's a lot of wisdom here, but it's all just revolving around the point that wisdom, or like the law of the Lord, will lead to life, and in every way, like wickedness will lead to, like as it puts, poverty and shame, destruction. Yeah.
Did we talk about verse 4?
Verse 4: the soul of the sluggard desireth and hath nothing, but the soul of the diligent shall be made fat. I think you talked about that a little bit. You can go say the scripture, I think, but I think you talked a little bit about being diligent or sluggard. And that's even something that, again, we've seen a lot so far in Proverbs.
Yeah, we have. But forget physically, it's spiritually.
Spiritually, too.
Like, you're not going to get wisdom. You're not going to get knowledge, understanding if you're not diligently seeking it. Like, you can't be lazy with the Word of God.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I think we can go to Exodus. Exodus 22.
Exodus 22 and verse 1. If a man shall steal an ox or a sheep and kill it or sell it, he shall restore 5 oxen for an ox and 4 sheep for a sheep. If a thief be found breaking up and be smitten that he die, there shall no blood be shed for him. If the sun be risen upon him, there shall be blood shed for him, for he should make full restitution. If he have nothing, then he shall be sold for his theft. If his theft be certainly found in his hand alive, whether it be ox or ass or sheep, he shall restore double. If a man shall cause a field or vineyard to be eaten, and shall put in his beast, and shall feed in another man's field, of the best of his own field, and of the best of his own vineyard, shall he make restitution. If fire break out and catch in the thorns, so that the stacks of corn, or the standing corn, or the fields be consumed therewith, He that kindleth the fire shall surely make restitution. If a man shall deliver unto his neighbor money or stuff to keep, and it be stolen out of the man's house, if the thief be found, let him pay double. If the thief be not found, then the master of his house shall be brought unto the judges, to see whether he have put his hand unto his neighbor's goods. For all manner of trespass, whether it be for ox, for ass, for sheep, for raiment, or for any manner of lost thing, which another challengeth to be his, the cause of both parties shall come before the judges, and whom the judges shall condemn, he shall pay double unto his neighbor. If a man delivereth unto his neighbor an ass, or an ox, or a sheep, or any beast to keep, and it die, or be hurt, or driven away, no man seeing it, then shall an oath of the Lord be between them both, that he hath not put his hands unto his neighbor's goods. And the owner of it shall accept thereof, and he shall not make it good. And if it be stolen from him, he shall make restitution unto the owner thereof. If it be torn in pieces, then let him bring it for witness, and he shall not make good that which was torn. And if a man borrow aught of his neighbor, and it be hurt, or die, the owner thereof, being not with it, he shall surely make it good. But if the owner thereof be with it, he shall not make it good. If it be an higher thing, it came for his hire. And if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed, and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife. If her father utterly refuse to give her unto him, he shall pay money according to the dowry of virgins. Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. Whosoever lieth with a beast shall surely be put to death. He that sacrificeth unto any god, save unto the Lord only, he shall be utterly destroyed. Thou shalt not vex a stranger, nor oppress him, for ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. You shall not afflict any widow or fatherless child. If thou afflict them in any wise, and they cry at all unto me, I will surely hear their cry. And my wrath shall wax hot, and I will kill you with the sword, and your wives shall be widows, and your children fatherless. If thou lend money to any of my people that is poor by thee, thou shalt not be to him as an usurer, neither shalt thou lay upon him usury. If thou at all take thy neighbor's raiment to pledge, if thou at all take thy neighbor's raiment to pledge, thou shalt deliver it unto him by that the sun goeth down. For that is his covering only. It is his raiment for his skin. Wherein shall he sleep? And it shall come to pass when he crieth unto me that I will hear him. For I am gracious. Thou shalt not revile the gods, nor curse the ruler of thy people. Thou shalt not delay to offer the first of thy ripe fruits, and of thy liquors. The firstborn of thy sons shalt thou give unto me. Likewise shalt thou do with thine oxen and with thy sheep. 7 days it shall be with his den. On the 8th day thou shalt give it to me. And ye shall be holy men unto me. Neither shall you eat any flesh that is torn of beasts in the field. Ye shall cast it to the dogs.
Get to read.
Yeah. Thank you. Here, just picking up after 21. He's just like you kind of said in the when you gave like the recap of what we did yesterday. He's just kind of going more into like how this is how you're going to operate moving forward. You know what I mean? Now we're getting the laws to be good people, but like a good nation. You know, and he just goes real to depth. Some of the ones that we kind of talked about even when we were talking about the man who slept with Jacob's daughter.
Yeah, Shechem.
Yeah. Where he took, where's that at? Like Genesis 40 something?
Genesis, yeah, I'll check.
But the man slept with Jacob's daughter, and he was wrong for that. But then, just like it says here, if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife. So after you've laid with the woman, hey, now you got to take her to be your wife. Like, that's the law. You know what I mean? Well, you should try at least, because the father still has the right to deny you. And if he denies you, now you got to pay for that woman the dowry of her virgins, like, because you took that from her. Now she's no longer a virgin. She can't go to another man and be as a maid. Would that be an accurate statement?
Like she's made. I'm trying to think of the very definition.
Yeah.
But still to the point.
Right.
Like it's more of like sanctity.
Yeah.
Whereas it's even in the same way for like a dude, where a dude, a man was not supposed to lay with a woman, period, before marriage, and vice versa, right? Where to the point, in the difference between the man and the woman, even with like how this like situation works and why it's even like different here, and like why it's such a worse thing, is that a man can, especially at this point in time, and like we see later in like Matthew, with Jesus talking about writing a bill of divorcement. Matthew 5. That's why. Okay, I just don't remember if it was 5 or 6. I'll check after this.
It is written in time past that.
Yeah, for bill of divorcement. Right. So that's 5. Okay, great. So yeah, like we see in Jesus' day that like he really talks about like how this was really supposed to work. But at this point in time, a man could write a bill of divorcement for a woman, like so he could divorce her for any reason. And how it worked was that man could go and get married to another woman again, but the woman couldn't. She was bound to her husband as long as she lived. Now there's stipulations to that if she did get married to another man, she wasn't supposed to, but if she did, then she had to stick with the second dude and she couldn't go back to the first. That's Leviticus. I will look for that in a second. But to the point is that it worked differently because the woman, like as far as the law was concerned and what was allowed, of course, she may decide to do it anyway, right? But she couldn't get remarried afterwards. So him doing this and then not taking her to wife has like put a shame onto her. Because she can't just go and like just get married to anyone. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she was supposed to be married to this dude didn't take her, and it's basically a shame unto her. Where essentially now she has what was supposed to be for the sanctity of marriage, she like is now lost essentially, because not only has she lost her virginity, she's now not married as well, which is why he was supposed to make it right by marrying her.
Mm-hmm.
But like now, essentially, you've lost both things, which is why he still had to pay a dowry, even though he didn't marry her. Because essentially, you took the prize, but you didn't pay the price through the actual marriage. Yeah. So it's like a shame unto you. Yeah. Or that's even why they talk about in the book whores and whoremongers, where the book looks like at the same way. Like a dude can't just be sleeping around the same way biblically a woman can't. Like fornicators covers both men and women. Sometimes people act like it only covers one of the two. Mm-hmm. We're very clear it's both.
But just back to, what was the name? Shechem, who slept with Jacob's daughter. It's like that's what made Simeon and Levi?
Yep.
So wrong is because
34, by the way.
34? Yeah. That's Genesis 34. But that's what made it so bad for them. Like, not only, I mean, you just murdered a whole nation of men, but the man, he shouldn't have slept with the daughter, but he was going right about it. Like, okay, I messed up. Hey, this is what I'm gonna do. Let me take her to wife. You know what I mean? So they were completely out of order, and this is where we're getting that from. But I also like first off, verse 19. Whosoever lieth with the beast shall surely be put to death. That's crazy, right? Like, you're lying with an animal. But God's not saying it if we're not doing it. You know what I mean? There's people out here that's lying with beasts, so he has to say, stop. Like, that's sin. You're going to die if you lie with the beast. So don't lie with the beast or an animal. That's what that means. I also like verse 22 and 23. Don't afflict a widow or a fatherless child. If you afflict them, God's gonna kill you, and now your wife is a widow and your children are fatherless children. I just think that's like funny but it just almost reminds me of, what is it, Galatians 6, where it says it's 6:1. Let me go there real quick because I forgot exactly what it says, but I know what it needs to say. You know what I mean? Galatians Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians. Yeah, brethren. If a man be overtaken in a fault, ye which are spiritual, restore such an one in spirit of meekness, considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted. That's a little different, but the really God, like, or even when he says, to whom showeth mercy, he'll show mercy. Like, it's, man, you get what you give. Like, we just read in the Proverbs, I think it was two days ago, which would be Proverbs 11. He was like, he who watereth, him himself shall be watered. But the point is, man, you do people wrong, you're going to reap what you sow. Simple, it's as simple as that. So in everything you do, consider yourself. Is this how you want to be treated? Because right here we see, you're going to reap that same outcome. So I just thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah. Also, the Bill divorcement bit from earlier, that was Matthew 19. And the other bit about the woman, like, she not being able to marry the dude, like, not being able to marry just another man after she's been divorced. And like, if she does, then she has to stick with this dude and can't go back to the first one. That's all, like, Deuteronomy, like, 24. Yeah. Yeah. Deuteronomy 24. And then even you have Romans 7, which talks about the same sort of little similar concepts in marriage, too. But, yeah. I mean, there are a lot of really good good bits. We sort of said a little bit of it, like, yesterday, talking about the law, where a lot of the law feels like something that is just, like, base morality sometimes, and that is, because, all the Lord really wants us to do is love each other and treat each other with love, right? So, and then that's why just like we'll see it more and more as we read, but just so many of his commandments are just like, be kind. Like, 7, if a man shall deliver unto his neighbor money or stuff to keep, and it be stolen out of the man's house, if the thief be found, let him pay double. If the thief be not found, then the master of the house shall be brought to the judges to see whether he have put his hands unto his neighbor's goods. Like, that's just like basic. I don't want to say basic, but it's just something that, like, today we take for granted that this is just like a clear system that's hacked. Like, they investigate, they see if, like, someone else stole it. If not, then they will question the person who supposedly had it, so on and so forth. But at this time, we have to remember, there was no established order. Like, even bringing back up what we sort of said a little bit of before, that the Lord is setting up like a nation of people. Like, he's setting up a kingdom, essentially. Where he's like, well, this is how we're going to have things work. And before this point, like, kingdoms didn't have laws like these. There wasn't, like, this set ground of, like, wisdom and understanding that even we have now. Because we take it for granted, because really all of this stems of what we have now from this. But it's still to the point. Like, yeah, a lot of this is still, like, just based on love, which is still, like, something that we see from here all the way to the New Testament. But even bringing up, like, the sort of thing you said yesterday, like, about grace, where grace didn't just come, or mercy didn't just come in the New Testament. We see that in, like, Exodus 20, the Lord saying, like, I show mercy to the thousands of them that love me. Where it's the same thing with love, right? Where love is throughout the entire book. Or even, like, for God to love the world, he sent his only begotten Son, right? So, like, to come here and, like, die for the sins of the world. That was ordained all the way from all the way from back here in the Old Testament. Like, even John said to Jesus and Luke, I think Luke 2, Luke 3, where he said, no, it's not 2, it's I think 3, where he says, hey, so talking to Jesus about Jesus, like, hey, here is the Lamb of God slain from the foundation of the world, where that was always the plan. Like, Jesus was always going to come and die, and that these same things even said at the very end of Revelation, Revelation 22. But, yeah. So you just see love all throughout. Yeah. But with that, I think, do you have anything else to say about 22?
Nah.
Alright. Now I'm going to pick it up at 23. Exodus 23 and verse 1. Thou shalt not raise a false report. Put not thine hand with the wicked to be an unrighteous witness. Thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil. Neither shalt thou speak in a cause to decline after many to wrest judgment. Neither shalt thou countenance a poor man in his cause. If thou meet thine enemy's ox, or his ass going astray, thou shalt surely bring it back to him again. If thou see the ass of him that hateth thee lying under his burden, and wouldst forbear to help him, thou shalt surely help with him. Thou shalt not wrest the judgment of thy poor in his cause. Keep thee far from a false matter, nor the innocent and righteous slay thou not, for I will not justify the wicked. And thou shalt take no gift, for the gift blindeth the wise, and pervert the words of the righteous. Also thou shalt not oppress a stranger, for ye know the heart of a stranger, seeing ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. And 6 years thou shalt sow thy land, and shalt gather in the fruits thereof. But the 7th year thou shalt let it rest, and lie still, that the poor of thy people may eat, and what they leave the beasts of the field shall eat. In like manner thou shalt deal with thy vineyard and with thy olive yard. 6 days thou shalt do thy work, and on the 7th day thou shalt rest, that thine ox and thine ass may rest, and the son of thy handmaid and the stranger may be refreshed. In all things that I have said unto you, be circumspect, and make no mention of the name of other gods, neither let it be heard of thy mouth. 3 times thou shalt keep a feast unto me in the year. Thou shalt keep the feast of unleavened bread. Thou shalt eat unleavened bread 7 days, as I commanded thee, in the time appointed of the month Abib. For in it thou camest out from Egypt, and none shall appear before me empty. In the feast of harvest, the first fruits of thy labor, which thou hast sown in the field, in the feast of ingathering, which is in the end of the year, when thou hast gathered in thy labors out of the field. 3 times in the year all thy males shall appear before the Lord God. Thou shalt not offer the blood of my sacrifice with leavened bread, neither shall the fat of my sacrifice remain until the morning. The first of the first fruits of thy land thou shalt bring into the house of the Lord thy God. Thou shalt not see the kid in his mother's milk. Behold, I send an angel before thee, to keep thee in the way, and to bring thee into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice, provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. But if thou shalt indeed obey his voice, and do all that I speak, then I will be an enemy unto thine enemies, and an adversary unto thine adversaries. For mine angel shall go before thee, and bring thee in unto the Amorites, and the Hittites, and the Perizzites, and the Canaanites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, and I will cut them off. Thou shalt not bow down to their gods, nor serve them, nor do after their works, but thou shalt utterly overthrow them, and quite break down their images. And ye shall serve the Lord your God, and he shall bless thy bread and thy water, and I'll take sickness away from the midst of thee. There shall nothing cast their young, nor be barren in thy land. The number of thy days I will fulfill. I will send my fear before thee, and will destroy all the people to whom thou shalt come. And I will make all thine enemies turn their backs unto thee. And I will send hornets before thee, which shall drive out the Hivite, the Canaanite, and the Hittite from before thee. I will not drive them out from before thee in 1 year, lest the land become desolate, and the beasts of the field multiply against thee. By little and little I will drive them out from before thee, until thou be increased, and inherit the land. And I will set thy bounds from the Red Sea even unto the sea of the Philistines, and from the desert unto the river. For I will deliver the inhabitants of the land into your hand, and thou shalt drive them out before thee. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor with their gods. They shall not dwell in thy land, lest they make thee sin against me. For if thou serve their gods, it will surely be a snare unto thee.
Good reading, man.
Thank you.
Real quick, shout out to Metro D Plump. She's been leaving all the scriptures.
Yeah.
In there. Appreciate that. Yeah, 23.
Yeah. I mean, 23 has a lot. I think one of the prime examples for me. I mean, there's a lot, but verse 5. If thou see the ass of him that hateth thee lying under his burden, and wouldst forbear to help him, thou shalt surely help with him. So, like, the point of this scripture literally is help your enemy. Like, help your enemy. And that's something that's talked about so often in the New Testament, especially with Christ. Bless them that curse you. Love those that despitefully use you. Yeah.
Where's that at?
I think 8. I believe that's 8.
It sounds a little decent right there. Sounds like it's good.
I believe that's 8. But still to the point, that is, again, and that's the thing that we see, like, so many times, or even the Lord, and he says it so many times too in the New Testament. I believe he says it in 2 Peter as well, where, like, I don't give a new command, no new commandment I give unto you, but an old, one which you have heard from the beginning. And like he even says that again in Matthew as well, where still to the point, the New Testament in so many ways just reiterates and expounds upon things that were said in the Old Testament. Even with like that Matthew example we just brought from before, from what we just read in Exodus 22, where like, or even what I mentioned in like Deuteronomy 24, talking about like the same sort of thing, where like all of those things were said like here, but we see them expounded upon by Christ later on in Matthew. And he's not even changing any of the things from before, but he's expounding, well, like, okay, this is really like the Matthew example again, where he's like, hey, this is what you've heard, like you can give a bill of divorcement for any reason, by saying, hey, for like reason of fornication, because like really the Lord hates divorce. He never really wants you to divorce, but because of the outcry of the people, Moses had like given divorce unto you. But the Lord never wanted divorce, where he's expounding upon the Old Testament. It's the same as even the case again with all that he speaks about even there about loving your enemies. Again, all still something that was present in the Old Testament. It's like as we like see here. Yeah. And then even like 9, also thou shalt not oppress a stranger, for ye know the heart of a stranger, saying you were strangers in the land of Egypt. To where like again, do unto others as you would like have done to you, right?
And that's also a good spot, really, to throw out there that sometimes, like, we go through stuff just so we can show love and help other people that are in that spot. You know what I mean?
Like sympathy is the word. Where, like, I've gone through what you've gone through. Let me, like, this is what helped me get through. Like, this is what helped me get through this situation, like, so on and so forth. Like, absolutely. And then even, like, the trying to paper and patience. The stuff we mentioned before. But, yeah.
I like verse 13. He says, in all things that I have said unto you, be circumspect. Circumspect, I'll look up the definition real quick, but it pretty much means cautious. Like, pay attention. Like, what I say, I mean, and you need to do it. Let me pull up the actual definition though. To act, speak, or proceed in cautious or prudent and in a watchful manner, carefully considering all potential consequences to avoid risk and danger. Long story short, you need to be doing this. Make sure you know this, and in every situation you're doing this. Like, and that's how the Lord, even to this day, is looking at us. Like, we need to be circumspect, which means first off we need to know the word. And we need to know the laws of God, but then too, we need to make sure that we're doing it in our everyday life as best, like to the point to where we can reach perfection. You know what I mean? Another thing I like, it was like where it says a false balance is an abomination to God. We read that in Proverbs. I think it was 8. Could be wrong though. But it says, "Thou shalt not raise a false report, but put not thine hand with the wicked to be an unrighteous witness." Like, don't lie don't lie. Don't be a false witness. Also, like verse 2, "Thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil, neither shalt thou speak in a cause to decline after many rash judgment." That's really like in Proverbs 1 where it says, "If sinners entice thee, consent thou not." Like, thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil. Like we just read in Proverbs today, he that is wise is around wise counsel. Like, get away from these people. Separate yourself. Mark those that cause division. Simply put, if your goal is to serve God and reach eternal life, you need to be around people. If anybody that is a hindrance to that, you need to stop being around them. Point blank, period. It doesn't matter. Remember, Jesus himself said he didn't come to bring peace, but he came to bring a sword. He came to separate people from their families and from people who they love and things of that nature. He says, if you love your mother or your brother more than me, you are not worthy of me. You should love God first and the most. Love him enough to where anybody that's hindering your relationship with God, you remove yourself from. So yeah, don't follow a multitude to do evil. We also see kind of like the the rules to the land. Like it's like a yearly Sabbath, but for the land. The Sabbath is on the 7th day of the week. And so for 6 days you work, and on the 7th day you eat. Like we read in the beginning of Exodus, where they went out and collected their manna 6 days out the week, and on the 6th day they got double portion for the 7th day as well, right? It works the same way with the land, except in years. You do all your planting and your growing of fruits and food 6 years, and on the 7th year you let the land rest, right? That's how the Lord operated. The Lord is the creator of the earth. You know what I mean? He knows what's best for it. And not only that, he just told you to do it. So that's what we need to be doing. Yeah. And all this stuff is good for today. Meaning, I don't have any farmland. I'm not growing any vegetables or food. But if you are, this still applies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's something you should be doing.
It's something. Yeah.
I mean, like, it's even a thing of where, in, like, today, like, that's a real thing in farming, where you run into an issue when you use the land too much, and it's not properly maintained, and, like, you're using it every year, like, for so long, that it depletes the soil of its natural nutrients, to where you have to, like, eventually that's how you get, like, barren land, that can't, like, produce any goods, because it's, instead of allowing the soil to naturally replenish itself, you just take from it faster than it can replenish, and then you just get bad soil. Which is like, and that's the thing with like so many things with the law and like the Lord, where it's like it makes perfect sense. Like, it makes perfect sense why that is the case. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Like if you really think about it, it makes perfect sense why the Lord said, don't do this thing here, or don't do this thing here. Whether it's because of empathy, whether it's because of just like general good practice, like here, like that just makes sense to keep your land good, like to do that, or whether it is just out of like obedience and like faith to Him. So like an example of that being like 14, like bringing up the feast days, which are like Leviticus 23 as well, where he brings up unleavened bread, which again we saw back in like Exodus 12, Exodus 13. It talked about it again too. The Feast of Harvest is also called Pentecost. You'll see that again Leviticus 23, and same with Ingathering, also called the Feast of Tabernacle. But still to the point, like even like you do that, and then even the Sabbath itself, which it brings up in verse 12, and like even in Exodus 20, and again it brought up again a little bit in Exodus 21, where the Sabbath we remember it because it's the day that the Lord hallowed. Where it makes sense that like the Sabbath is something so important to God. There's something that we have to do. Like we see it all the way in the beginning in Genesis 2, like Genesis 2 and 1, where it is an incredibly important thing to him. So yeah, it makes sense that this is something that he wants us to do, right? It literally is from the beginning of the world. Yeah.
Last thing for me, I really just want to point out like how good it is to serve God. Meaning, not only do you get the wisdom of God and things of that nature, but like him being on your side and your enemies being his enemies is like a huge plus in this world. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's talking to Israel. He says like, if you just be obedient, he's like, if you just be obedient, he says in verse 22, then I will be an enemy unto thine enemies and an adversary unto thine adversaries. He talks about knocking off all the other people in the land that, and then he says, I will take sickness away from you. That's verse 25. He says, I will bless your bread and your water, and I will take sickness away from you. Like God, obviously God is God. He has control over everything. And if we, like, this is like some of the perks, I guess you could say, of turning your life over to God. Not to say nothing bad. Like we've talked plenty of times. We've seen Joseph himself get sold into slavery. And some people, he might have thought his whole life was hardship. You know what I mean? Yeah. But, so I'm not saying, oh, nothing bad is going to happen here. But God is going to be on your side. And if God is you, who can be against you? Nobody. It's so cold that it says, I will send hornets before thee, which shall drive out Hivites, Canaanites, and Hittites from before thee. Like, I ain't even dang near really got to fight. Like, I'm going to just have the hornets come drive them out the land. Like, it's stuff like that. I just think it's real dope. Well, all this can only take place, verse 22, if thou shalt indeed obey my voice and do all that I speak. So, of course, like we were saying, was it yesterday or the day before yesterday? Yeah. It's always contingency with God. Like, God is going to look out for you. God is the best thing that can ever happen to you if you do what he says. Yeah. It's very simple.
And you see that all the way even back into Genesis with Abraham and with Isaac and with Jacob. If you will follow me, if you'll do what I say, then I will multiply your children as the dust of the earth and as the stars of the sky. Then will your seed be, like through your seed, the whole world will be blessed. And he like said that to Abraham. And then when Abraham obeyed, when he talked to Isaac, he said, if you will be obedient, like your father Abraham. Where it's even to like the whole point is even when it passed from Abraham to Isaac and from Isaac to Jacob, the Lord said the same thing, where he was like, hey, if you will follow me, if you will do the things in which I tell you, then I will like fulfill my end of the bargain. Or like, yeah, even like we said last time, maybe it's not, you don't want to say it's a 50-50, but it's like at least a 99.9, so 0.01, yeah. Where like you have to give something to the Lord. Like Christ says, he does not take up his cross after me, he's not worthy of me. Mm-hmm. Where like always you have to give something. Yeah. I think I only had one last thing I want to talk about from this chapter. verse 7. And it kind of goes back to like the bearing false witness point we just read in Proverbs. Keep thee far from a false matter, and the innocent and righteous slay thou not, for I will not justify the wicked. Where it still goes back to the point, like the Lord, the Lord does not get down with wickedness, right? He said, I will not justify. Like, I'm not going to make any excuses for you, and I'm not going to give you any more power. Like, if you do wickedness, I'm not okay with it. Like the Lord has, I don't know why my brain's firing up, but he has requirements. He has things he wants from us, and he will not accept like anything other. So he's like, I will not justify the wicked. But then even from the beginning, keep thee far from a false matter, and the innocent and righteous slay thou not. Where even going back to like even the bit a little bit of being unequally yoked with the wicked, or Proverbs 1, align yourselves with wicked men, you will find yourself like keep thee far from a false matter. If you are aligned with a wicked person, you'll find yourself going along with their wickedness. They tell you, oh, this person did so-and-so and so-and-so. And now you, in really your foolishness, because you're going along with someone you know to be wicked, and you're believing them, they've now dragged you into wickedness because they lied. They bore false witness. And now you've innocent and righteous slay them out. Now you've killed the innocent and righteous. They were right. They've done nothing wrong. But because you're going along with the wicked, or even you're going along with a false marriage or with a false witness, now you've done something irreparable. You've done wickedness. I think a good example of this is in Kings with Jeroboam. I think it's 1 Kings 4:5. Where no, that is too early. I check real quick. No. Yep, 1 Kings 13. That's what. Yeah, there you go. 1 Kings 13. You have Jeroboam. He was a wicked king of Israel. Long story short, the Lord sends a prophet down there. He tells him, "Hey, go down this way, talk to Jeroboam, don't come back up the same way you left, and do not stop, do not eat anything, do not drink anything, do not stop the chat, do not do any of this." A false prophet came and talked to him, the prophet of the Lord, and told him, hey, the Lord had gave me a vision saying, you're supposed to come to my house. And the prophet followed him and listened to the false prophet. And because of which, when the prophet of the Lord left the false prophet's house, he was killed by a lion in the way. And then even the false prophet came and found him and buried him and said, well, he should have listened to the Lord God. Where, he was the one who lied to him, but even he was like, hey, he should have listened to what God told him. And even then, it's even the same way for us. Where, the Lord has set before us the Word of God. We have the Word of God here. We have the Bible. The Lord, we have it. It's across the world. You can buy it anywhere. It's translated basically any language. We have the KJV Bible. We have it. But, it happens so often for us where we can be led away from what the Bible says into what people say. And that's the whole thing, where we cannot be led away. Keep thee far from a false matter. We have the truth here in this Bible, so we have to stick with it. We can't allow ourselves, our personal ties, our personal emotions, or even just sometimes our personal beliefs of things to contradict or draw us away from what the Bible, the Word of God, the truth that has been set before us. So, yeah, that's what I always think about when I look at verse 7. Because that's just that's just where a false matter brings you. And that's what will cause you to do. Whether to hurt yourself in your own wickedness or hurt others. No, Exodus 23. Very cool.
So, we're on Exodus 24?
Yep.
It's my turn?
Yep.
Alright, verse 1. And he said unto Moses, come up unto the Lord, thou and Aaron, thou and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel, and worship ye afar off. And Moses alone shall come near the Lord, but they shall not come nigh, neither shall the people go up with him. And Moses came and told the people all the words of the Lord, and all the judgments. And all the people answered with one voice, and said, all the words which the Lord hath said, will we do. And Moses wrote all the words of the Lord, and rose up early in the morning, and builded an altar under the hill, and 12 pillars, according to the 12 tribes of Israel. And he said, young men of the children of Israel, which offered burnt offerings, and sacrificed peace offerings of oxen unto the Lord. And Moses took half of the blood, and put it in basins, and half of the blood he sprinkled on the altar. And he took the book of the covenant, and read in the audience of the people. And they said, all that the Lord hath said, will we do, and be obedient. And Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people, and said, behold, the blood of the covenant which the Lord hath made with you concerning all these words. Then went up Moses and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel. And they saw the God of Israel, and there was under his feet as it were a paved work of a sapphire stone, and as it were the body of heaven in its clearness. And upon the nobles of the children of Israel he laid not his hand. Also they saw God, and did eat and drink. And the Lord said unto Moses, come up to me into the mount, and be there, and I will give thee tables of stone, and a law, and commandments which I have written, that thou mayest teach them. And Moses rose up, and his minister Joshua. And Moses went up into the mount of God. And he said unto the elders, tarry ye here for us, until we come again unto you. And behold, Aaron and Hur are with you. If any man have any matters to do, let him come unto them. And Moses went up into the mount, and a cloud covered the mount. And the glory of the Lord abode upon Mount Sinai. And the cloud covered it 6 days. And the 7th day he called unto Moses out of the midst of the cloud. And the sight of the glory of the Lord was like devouring fire on the top of the mount in the eyes of the children of Israel. And Moses went in the midst of the cloud, and gat him up into the mount. And Moses was in the mount 40 days and 40 nights.
Good reading.
Yeah. This is really like, I want to say, the baptism of Israel, which not really, but it's like when you get baptized, you're now making a covenant. Like, this is what I'm going to do, Lord. I'm going to serve you. And this is what we see with Israel here. In verse 7, it says, and this is Moses talking, and he took the book of the covenant and read to the audience of the people. And they said, all that the Lord hath said will we do, and be obedient. In verse 8, and so Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people, and said, behold, the blood of the covenant which the Lord hath made with you concerning all these words. So now the Lord has, they made that agreement. Like, it's now written in stone, as you could say. Like, we're going to do everything that you say, and you're going to hold up your end of the bargain. Like, that's how this works. And as we continue to read, we'll see that we didn't hold up our end of the bargain. But we definitely agreed to it, which makes the punishment worthy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I think, this is the first covenant the Lord made with the people of Israel, which is like, what you're doing with the Lord whenever you get baptized. And it's like even like the blood element has a lot of meaning, because when you're baptized of Jesus, as Paul talks about in Romans 7, or maybe Corinthians, where he talks about when you're baptized unto Jesus, you're baptized into his death. You're also baptized into his resurrection.
I think that's 6.
Is that 6?
Romans 6.
6? I can't remember. It's
six
6 through 8. That's why I feel like I
yeah.
remember it being in between that little bit there. But still to the point. When you are baptized into Jesus' blood. It's a part of it. Like, you're baptized into his blood. In the same way here, you have them being covered in the blood of like the beast here, the lamb. Yeah. Where, and even they'll talk about in like Hebrews 8, Hebrews 9, I just looked at it, where they talk about the covenant, where like the covenant the Lord had with Israel here, and even the covenant we enter with Christ through his baptism, really like one being the continuation of the other, that like is through blood the testament is made. The testament can only come but by the death of the testator. Like again, the testament being the same as the covenant. That's why you have it like the Old Testament and the New Testament, where like here they were given like the blood was put on them from like this animal, and they enter into the first covenant with the Lord. Well, for us, we enter into the second covenant with the Lord through his baptism, because we were baptized into his blood. It's the same thing. Where this is just the predecessor of what we have, our faith in Christ, which again was all the way back there in Genesis, and we've seen it come all the way down. But just we've lived to the fulfilling of all those things, as Christ talks about, where he says even Abraham would rejoice to see my day. Why? Because Jesus was the fulfilling of even what he was telling Abraham. Right? Him coming in the flesh, him dying for us. That was the fulfilling of all things. That's why he even says, I did not come to destroy the law, but to fulfill it. He was fulfilling what was prophesied, what was said. Which is why even again he says, not one jot will pass from the law until all be fulfilled. Because the law isn't gone and the law isn't bad. And that's why he even says the whole destroy thing. I fulfilled it. I'm doing what I promised, what was prophesied I would do, like throughout this whole thing. But even then, like, yeah, so this is like the start of that chain, which again, like Hebrews 8, 9, even 10 a little bit. Hebrews spent a lot of time talking about it. But yeah, not much else for me to say, and that's just what it is. Like it's entering into the covenant.
Yeah. And then verse 12. So now that they agreed, it's like, all right, I'm finna take Moses up there and write on the tables of stone. Says in the law and the commandment. So, and we see he was up there for 40 days and 40 nights. But you'll never believe what's going to happen.
I think we can believe it, considering what we've already seen so far. I wouldn't say it's too much of a... No.
Yeah.
So, alright, so 25?
Yep.
Alright. Exodus 25 and verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, that they bring me an offering. Of every man that giveth it willingly with his heart, ye shall take my offering. And this is the offering which ye shall take of them: gold, and silver, and brass, and blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine linen, and goat's hair, and ram skins dyed red, and badger skins, and shittim wood, oil for the light, spices for anointing oil, and for sweet incense, onyx stones, and stones to be set in the ephod, and in the breastplate. And let them make me a sanctuary, that I may dwell among them. According to all that I showed thee, after the pattern of the tabernacle, and the pattern of all the instruments thereof, even so shall ye make it. And they shall make an ark of shittim wood. 2 cubits and a half shall be the length thereof, and 1 cubit and a half the breadth thereof, and 1 cubit and a half the height thereof. And thou shalt overlay it with pure gold. Within and without thou shalt overlay it. And thou shalt make upon it a crown of gold round about. And thou shalt cast 4 rings of gold for it, and put them in the 4 corners thereof. And 2 rings shall be in the one side of it, and 2 rings in the other side of it. And thou shalt make staves of shittim wood, and overlay them with gold. And thou shalt put the staves into the rings by the sides of the ark, that the ark may be borne with them. The staves shall be in the rings of the ark. They shall not be taken from it. And thou shalt put into the ark the testimony which I shall give thee. And thou shalt make a mercy seat of pure gold. 2 cubits and a half shall be the length thereof, and 1 cubit and a half the breadth thereof. And thou shalt make 2 cherubims of gold, of beaded work shalt thou make them, and the 2 ends of the mercy seat. And make 1 cherub on the one end, and the other cherub on the other end. Even of the mercy seat shall ye make the cherubims on the 2 ends thereof. And the cherubim shall stretch forth their wings on high, covering the mercy seat with their wings. And their faces shall look one to another. Toward the mercy seat shall the faces of the cherubims be. And thou shalt put the mercy seat above upon the ark. And in the ark thou shalt put the testimony that I shall give thee. And there I will meet with thee. And I will commune with thee from above the mercy seat, and from between the two cherubims, which are upon the ark of the testimony, of all things which I will give thee in commandment unto the children of Israel. Thou shalt also make a table of shittim wood. 2 cubits shall be the length thereof, and a cubit the breadth thereof, and a cubit and a half the height thereof. And thou shalt overlay it with pure gold, and make thereto a crown of gold round about. And thou shalt make unto it a border of an hand breadth round about. And thou shalt make a golden crown to the border thereof round about. And thou shalt make for it 4 rings of gold, and put the rings in the 4 corners that are on the 4 feet thereof. Over against the border shall the rings be for places of the staves to bear the table. And thou shalt make the staves of shittim wood, and overlay them with gold, that the table may be borne with them. And thou shalt make the dishes thereof, and spoons thereof, and covers thereof, and bowls thereof to cover withal. Of pure gold shalt thou make them. And thou shalt set upon the table showbread before me always. And thou shalt make a candlestick of pure gold. Of beaten work shall the candlestick be made. His shaft and his branches, his bowls, his knops, and his flowers shall be of the same. And 6 branches shall come out of the side of it. 3 branches of the candlestick out of the one side, and 3 branches of the candlestick out of the other side. 3 bowls made like unto almonds, with a knop and a flower in one branch. And 3 bowls made like almonds in the other branch, with a knop and a flower. So in the 6 branches that come out of the candlestick. And in the candlestick shall be 4 bowls, made like unto almonds, with their knops and their flowers. And there shall be a knop under 2 branches of the same, and a knop under 2 branches of the same, and a knop under 2 branches of the same, according to the 6 branches that proceed out of the candlestick. And their knops and their branches shall be of the same, and it shall be one being work of pure gold. And thou shalt make the 7 lamps thereof, and they shall light the lamps thereof, that they may give light over against it. And the tongs thereof and the snuff dishes thereof shall be of pure gold. Of a talent of pure gold shall he make it, with all these vessels. And look that thou make them after their pattern, which was showed thee in the mount.
Read, man.
Yep. All right. Chapter 25.
So here,
Oh, you pulled the picture.
yeah, because I just want to like show like a rough kind of like so they can see what's going on. But I want a good one.
I mean, that's not great. It doesn't have a mercy seat.
Bro, none of them do.
No.
Like literally none of them have the mercy seat. I'm so confused.
Well, what we have here is being made is we talked about briefly before the Ark of the Covenant, and then even he's discussing in like 9 the building of what would be like a tabernacle, the place that was built like the predecessor to the temple of the Lord that we see like with Solomon in 1 Kings, but the place that would hold the Ark of the Covenant, because like even like he says here, what verse was it? Where he says that the Lord would like sit upon like the mercy seat and like talk to them. So this is how they would go and commune to the Lord. Yeah, 22, verse 22.
Let me show this. I'm gonna show this.
Oh yeah, that's probably the best one.
But I'm gonna point out that the mercy seat is supposed to. Hey, bro, look at the thing and see if they can see this. Is this good?
I mean, there's a delay. I mean, move it down a little bit. Well, there is a delay, but I think that should be fine.
Okay, so this is basically what we're looking at the Ark of the Covenant. These are like the 2 cherubims. Keep in mind, and the mercy seat is supposed to be right here. The cherubims are supposed to be covering the mercy seat. Obviously, in this depiction, it doesn't have that. But that's how it's supposed to be.
Your phone a little bit more to the left. There you go.
And then we got, these are the rings that were on the corner, on both sides. And then this stick is the stave that went in the rings. This is how they carry it right here. You're not supposed to touch the actual Ark of the Covenant. You carry it with these staves. So that's kind of like what we read about in terms of the Ark, how it looks. It's not perfectly accurate, but you get a rough idea.
Yeah.
So hopefully that helps. Do something.
Yeah. And then even then, as we get further along, we'll see only very specific people could carry the Ark in the first place. Like, it was meant for a very specific group of people. And if anyone else other than them touched the Ark, then they would be dead. They would die, is how that works. Literally, and there's an example of that. Of someone else a person who is not given the authority to touched it. Really, it appears as though an accident, or like on impulse, and they died on the spot. But yeah. But you see them getting ready to build, like all of that, like the bowls to hold the showbread, the beginnings of what would be the parts, or the most essential parts to the tabernacle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What, chapter 26?
Yeah.
Alright. Moreover, thou shalt make the tabernacle with 10 curtains of fine twined linen, and blue and purple and scarlet. With cherubims of cunning work shalt thou make them. The length of one curtain shall be 28 cubits, and the breadth of one curtain 4 cubits, and every one of the curtains shall have one measure. The 5 curtains shall be coupled together one to another, and the other 5 curtains shall be coupled one to another. And thou shalt make loops of blue upon the edge of the one curtain from the selvage in the coupling. And likewise shalt thou make it in the uttermost edge of another curtain, in the coupling of the second. 50 loops shalt thou make in the one curtain, and 50 loops shalt thou make in the edge of the curtain that is in the coupling of the second, that the loops may take hold one of another. And thou shalt make 50 tacks of gold, and couple the curtains together with the tacks, and it shall be one tabernacle. And thou shalt make curtains of goat's hair to be a covering upon the tabernacle. 11 curtains shalt thou make. The length of one curtain shall be 30 cubits, and the breadth of one curtain 4 cubits. And the 11 curtains shall be all of one measure. And thou shalt couple 5 curtains by themselves, and 6 curtains by themselves, and shalt double the 6th curtain in the forefront of the tabernacle. And thou shalt make 50 loops on the edge of the one curtain that is on the outmost in the coupling, and 50 loops in the edge of the curtain which coupleth the second. And thou shalt make 50 tacks of brass, and put the tacks into the loops, and couple the tent together that it may be one. And the remnant that remaineth of the curtain of the tent, the half curtain that remaineth, shall hang over the backside of the tabernacle, and a cubit on the one side, and a cubit on the other side, that which remaineth in the length of the curtains of the tent. It shall hang over the side of the tabernacle on this side, and on that side to cover it. And thou shalt make a covering for the tent of ram skin dyed red, and a covering above of badger skin. And thou shalt make boards for the tabernacle of shittim wood standing up. 10 cubits shall be the length of a board, and a cubit and a half shall be the breadth of one board. 2 tenons shall there be in one board, set in order one against another. Thus shalt thou make for all the boards of the tabernacle. And thou shalt make the boards for the tabernacle, 20 boards on the south side southward. And thou shalt make 40 sockets of silver under the 20 boards, 2 sockets under one board for his 2 tenons, and 2 sockets under another board for his 2 tenons. And for the second side of the tabernacle, on the north side, there shall be 20 boards, and the 40 sockets of silver, 2 sockets under one board, and 2 sockets under another board. And for the sides of the tabernacle westward, thou shalt make 6 boards. And 2 boards shalt thou make for the corners of the tabernacle in the 2 sides. And they shall be coupled together beneath, and they shall be coupled together above the head of it unto one ring. Thus shall it be for them both. They shall be for the 2 corners. And they shall be 8 boards in the and they shall be 8 boards in their sockets of silver, 16 sockets. 2 sockets under one board, and 2 sockets under another board. And thou shalt make bars of shittim wood, 5 for the boards of the one side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards of the other side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the board of the side of the tabernacle, for the 2 sides westward. And the middle bar in the midst of the boards shall reach from end to end. And thou shalt overlay the boards with gold, and make their rings of gold for places for the bars. And thou shalt overlay the bars with gold. And thou shalt rear up the tabernacle according to the fashion thereof, which was showed thee in the mount. And thou shalt make a veil of blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen of cunning work. With cherubim shall it be made. And thou shalt hang it upon 4 pillars of shittim wood overlaid with gold. Their hooks shall be of gold upon the 4 sockets of silver. And thou shalt hang up the veil under the tacks, that thou mayest bring in thither within the veil the ark of the testimony. And the veil shall divide unto you between the holy place and the most holy. And thou shalt put the mercy seat upon the ark of the testimony in the most holy place. And thou shalt set the table without the veil, and the candlesticks over against the table on the side of the tabernacle towards the south. And thou shalt put the table on the north side. And thou shalt make a hanging for the door of the tent of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen, wrought with needlework. And thou shalt make for the hanging 5 pillars of shittim wood, and overlay them with gold. And their hooks shall be of gold. And thou shalt cast 5 sockets of brass for them. The end.
Good reading.
Thank you. So that's chapter 26.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of laid down some of his law. We've already agreed to keep it, and so now we're getting into like moving forward. You know what I mean? Like he just taught us how to make the Ark of the Covenant, and now he's really going into depth on the actual tent itself. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Which is where he is going to dwell, in that tent, on the Ark of the Covenant or whatnot. But which leads me to verse 33 through 35. It says, "And thou shalt hang up the veil under the tacks, that thou mayest bring in thither within the veil the ark of the testimony." So, like, you got what is called, here, let's read it. "And thou shalt put, and the veil shall divide unto you between the holy place and the most holy." So, on the outside of the veil, you have like what is called the holy place. If I'm not mistaken, only the priest can. That's for the priest to dwell.
Mm-hmm.
But once you go into the veil, that's what you call the most holy place, and that's where only the high priest can go one time a year for atonement, which we'll get more into as we get to Leviticus 23 and Leviticus in its totality. But yeah, I just think that's pretty cool. But really, we just see the building of the tent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that's pretty much all I have to say.
Yeah. And it's one of those things. Like, yeah, this is like, I don't want to say just the building of the tabernacle, because the tabernacle is a very special place, and it's a place of the Lord's dwelling. And in so many places, especially when you get further, and bring up Hebrews again a little bit, and as well as like more of just like Paul's general writing again. I think it's 1 Corinthians, the place that they bring up. The tabernacle has a lot of physical meaning as well as spiritual meaning. It's the place where the Lord dwelt, where, like, in spiritual sense, where should the Lord be? Well, he should be within us. The Spirit of God should be within us. So our body is the tabernacle. That is, where does he say that?
I'm pretty sure it's Corinthians.
It is Corinthians. I just can't remember the chapter. I'll check.
It might be 2 Corinthians.
Yep, 2 Corinthians 5. Yeah. So beginning of 2 Corinthians 5, our body is a tabernacle. The same way first our body is a living sacrifice. But also to the point, the Lord is supposed to dwell within us. Right? And the tabernacle, was literally the physical representation of that. Right? And then even the veil, where, like he sort of brought before, I talk about even with Christ, again, like in Hebrews, I believe it's Hebrews 5 and 6, and they even, again, go talk about it a little bit in, like, Hebrews 9 as well, where it's the same thing, where only once a year, were they allowed to go, the high priest was allowed to go beyond the veil, and, like he said, that was on, atonement. But when Christ died, if you remember, with Matthew 25, 26, when he died, the veil ripped in half. Which, when Paul talks about Hebrews, is signifying that the way to the most holy was made open when he died. In the same way, we are redeemed by his blood. Again, as he will talk about in, Romans 5, where through Christ, we are saved and we are redeemed from being bound under sin. And we are able to be brought to God. Whereas in that same way, where once before we were wicked and we were sinful and unable to be cleansed, while now the Lord, like Christ through his blood, through dying, he cleansed us. So now we can be brought to the Lord fully.
Mm-hmm.
Where that's why he says, again, that same spot in Hebrews, where he talks about these things were like a shadow of things to come, where Christ always needed to come.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So, that's even, this is, again, the setting up of something so much greater, but it's all still just to the point. The Lord is one throughout the whole book. I am Christ today, yesterday, and forever.
Right. 12.
Yeah.
Hebrews 12.
Hebrews 12.
What, 7, I think it is? Hebrews 12.
Hebrews 12 and 7. I think so.
Wrong, but
It's. We may as well check them. Yeah. Let's flip over.
That's 13.
Oh, yeah. No, it's not 12 and 7.
That is so funny. It's Hebrews 7 and 12, bro.
Is it 7 and 12?
Yeah,
okay. Because I knew 12 was right. And I was like, well, I can't make that wrong. No, okay.
Bro, are you
7 and
serious,
12.
bro?
It's evident our Lord. It's talking about the same deal that I was just speaking about.
Yeah, I know.
But
that's so funny.
Near me after the work of Melchizedek, yeah, the same. It's quoting the same stuff I just mentioned before. Yeah, it's all Hebrews 5, 6, and 7 even talks about the same thing a bit.
Bro, not 12 and 8, 13 and 8.
13.
Yeah. It's right there. We know.
Same area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 13. So it's not 12 and 7, 13 and 8. Yeah. Jesus Christ the same yesterday, today, and forever. Where even we talked about a little bit before, the John 1, where Christ is this same person from the Old Testament. God, he is the God of the Old Testament. So it's the same person saying up all this stuff, saying all of this stuff. And again, Hebrews 7 being a really good example of that as well, where they talk about him being at the end of 6 and into 7, where he's made at the order of Melchizedek with no beginning and no end. He has no father, no mother. There's no time with, because he's always been here because he was God all the way even in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why even when you get to Revelation 22, he says I'm Alpha and Omega, beginning and the end. Where he is, he's part of everything throughout all of this. But yeah, and even just here in 26, it just sets up all of that. But yeah. Alright, so now we got Exodus 27. Yeah. So I'll go ahead and pick that up. Exodus 27 and verse 1. And thou shalt make an altar of shittim wood, 5 cubits long and 5 cubits broad. The altar shall be 4 square, and the height thereof shall be 3 cubits. And thou shalt make the horns of it upon the 4 corners thereof. His horn shall be of the same, and thou shalt overlay it with brass. And thou shalt make his pans to receive his ashes, and his shovels, and his basins, and his flesh hooks, and his fire pans. All the vessels thereof thou shalt make of brass. And thou shalt make for it a grate of network of brass. And upon the net shalt thou make 4 brazen rings in the 4 corners thereof. And thou shalt put it under the compass of the altar beneath, that the net may be even to the midst of the altar. And thou shalt make staves for the altar, staves of shittim wood, and overlay them with brass. And the staves shall be put into the rings, and the staves shall be upon the 2 sides of the altar to bear it. Hollow with boards shalt thou make it, as it was showed thee in the mount. So shall they make it. And thou shalt make the cord of the tabernacle. From the south side southward there shall be hangings for the cord, of fine twined linen, of 100 cubits long for one side. And 20 pillars thereof, and their 20 sockets shall be of brass. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets shall be of silver. And likewise for the north side and the length, there shall be hangings of 100 cubits long, and its 20 pillars, and their 20 sockets of brass. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver. And for the breadth of the court on the west side shall be hangings of 50 cubits. Their pillars 10, and their sockets 10. And the breadth of the court on the east side, eastward, shall be 50 cubits. The hangings of one side of the gate shall be 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. On the other side shall be hangings 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. And for the gate of the court shall be an hanging of 20 cubits of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen, wrought with needlework. And their pillars shall be 4, and their sockets 4. All the pillars round about the court shall be filleted with silver, and their hooks shall be of silver, and their sockets of brass. The length of the court shall be 100 cubits, and the breadth 50 everywhere, and the height 5 cubits of fine twined linen, and their sockets of brass. All the vessels of the tabernacle, and all the service thereof, and all the pins thereof, and all the pins of the court shall be of brass. And thou shalt command the children of Israel that they bring thee pure oil olive, beaten for the light, to cause a lamp to burn always. In the tabernacle of the congregation without the veil, which is before the testimony. Aaron and his sons shall order it from evening to morning before the Lord. It shall be a statute forever unto the generations on the behalf of the children of Israel.
Agreed, man.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So here they even just have, look at the, like the last, like just the last specifications of the last things. The altar in which where they're supposed to sacrifice, as well as just the building of the courts. Where we even talked about like there's the inner, like the most holy place, right? Like the most inner place. But then they had like places, because even then there were spaces in which only like the priests could go. There was a place where like only the high priest could go, but then they had like more general areas, and those were like the courts that we're even talking about here, where the court, and like they're just building and making the specifications for those, but like the court, like the regular people, but like you know, like ordinary people could be. Just
say regular in another word.
I know ordinary. Well, like regular, it's like it felt weird saying regular, but still just ordinary, like non-priests.
Yeah.
Non-priests could go. But yeah. I think that's all there really is to it. All I really have to say.
Yeah, I don't really have too much to add on that.
Yeah, I don't want to hop into the outer court stuff quite yet. But yeah.
Well, chapter 28. And verse 1. And take thou unto thee Aaron thy brother, and his sons with him, from among the children of Israel, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office, even Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, Eleazar and Ithamar, Aaron's sons. And thou shalt make holy garments for Aaron thy brother, for glory and for beauty. And thou shalt speak unto all that are wise-hearted, whom I have filled with the spirit of wisdom, that they may make Aaron's garments to consecrate him, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office. And they are the garments which they shall make: a breastplate and an ephod, and a robe, and a broidered coat, and a mitre, and a girdle. And they shall make holy garments for Aaron thy brother and his sons, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office. And they shall take gold and blue and purple and scarlet and fine linen, and they shall make the ephod of gold, of blue, and of purple, and of scarlet, and fine twined linen with cunning work. And it shall have the two shoulder pieces thereof joined at the two edges thereof, and it shall be joined together. And the curious girdle of the ephod which is upon it shall be of the same, according to the work thereof, even of gold, of blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen. And thou shalt take 2 onyx stones, and engrave on them the names of the children of Israel, 6 of their names on one stone, and the other 6 names of the rest on the other stone, according to their birth. With the work of an engraver in stone, like the engravings of a signet, shalt thou engrave the 2 stones with the names of the children of Israel. Thou shalt make them to be set in ouches of gold. And thou shalt put the 2 stones upon the shoulders of the ephod for stones of memorial unto the children of Israel. And Aaron shall bear their names before the Lord upon his 2 shoulders for a memorial. And thou shalt make ouches of gold, and 2 chains of pure gold at the end. Of reckon work shalt thou make them, and fasten the wreathen chains to the ouches. And thou shalt make the breastplate of judgment with cunning work, after the work of the ephod thou shalt make it, of gold, of blue, and of purple, and of scarlet, and of fine twined linen shalt thou make it. 4 squares shall be, being double. A span shall be the length thereof, and a span shall be the breadth thereof. And thou shalt set it in the settings of stones, even 4 rows of stones. The first row shall be a sardius, a topaz, and a carbuncle. This shall be the first row. And the second row shall be an emerald, a sapphire, and a diamond. And the third row, a ligure, an agates, and an amethyst. And the fourth row, a beryl, an onyx, and a jasper. They shall be set in gold in their enclosings. And the stones shall be with the names of the children of Israel, 12 according to their names, like the engravings of a signet. Every one with his name shall they be according to the 12 tribes. And thou shalt make upon the breastplate chains at the end of wreathen work of pure gold. And thou shalt make upon the breastplate 2 rings of gold, and shalt put the 2 rings on the 2 ends of the breastplate. And thou shalt put the 2 wreathen chains of gold in the 2 rings which are on the ends of the breastplate. And the other 2 ends of the 2 wreathen chains thou shalt fasten in the 2 ouches, and put them on the shoulder pieces of the ephod before it. And thou shalt make 2 rings of gold, and thou shalt put them upon the 2 ends of the breastplates in the border thereof, which is in the side of the ephod inward. And 2 other rings of gold thou shalt make, and shalt put them on the 2 sides of the ephod underneath, towards the forepart thereof, over against the other couplings thereof, above the curious girdle of the ephod. And they shall bind the breastplate by the rings thereof unto the rings of the ephod with a lace of blue, that it may be above the curious girdle of the ephod, and that the breastplate be not loosed from the ephod. And Aaron shall bear the names of the children of Israel in the breastplate of judgment upon his heart, where he goeth in unto the holy place, for a memorial before the Lord continually. And thou shalt put in the breastplate of judgment the Urim and the Thummim, and they shall be upon Aaron's heart, when he goeth in before the Lord. And Aaron shall bear the judgment of the children of Israel upon his heart before the Lord continually. And thou shalt make the robe of the ephod all of blue, and there shall be an hole in the top of it, in the midst thereof. It shall have a binding of woven work round about the whole of it, as it were the whole of an habergeon, that it be not rent. And beneath, upon the hem of it, thou shalt make pomegranates of blue, and of purple, and of scarlet round about the hem thereof, and bells of gold between them round about, a golden bell and a pomegranate, a golden bell and a pomegranate, upon the hem of the robe round about. And it shall be upon Aaron to minister, And his sound shall be heard when he goeth in unto the holy place before the Lord, and when he cometh out, that he die not. And thou shalt make a plate of pure gold engraven upon it, like the engravings of a signet, holiness to the Lord. And thou shalt put it on a blue lace, that it may be upon the mitre. Upon the forefront of the mitre it shall be. And it shall be upon Aaron's forehead, and that Aaron may bear the iniquity of the holy things, which the children of Israel shall hallow in all their holy gifts. And it shall be always upon his forehead, that they may be accepted before the Lord. And thou shalt embroider the coat of fine linen, and thou shalt make the mitre of fine linen, and thou shalt make the girdle of needlework. And for Aaron's sons thou shalt make coats, and thou shalt make for them girdles, and bonnets shalt thou make for them, for glory and for beauty. And thou shalt put them upon Aaron thy brother, and his sons with him, and shall anoint them, and consecrate them, and sanctify them, that they may minister unto me in the priest's office. And thou shalt make them linen breeches to cover their nakedness, for from the loins even unto the thighs they shall reach. And they shall be upon Aaron and upon his sons, when they come in unto the tabernacle of the congregation, or when they come near unto the altar to minister in the holy place, that they bear not iniquity, and die. It shall be a statute forever unto him and his seed after him.
Yeah. Good reading.
Thank you. Chapter 28.
Yeah.
Here we really see, we see that I'm going to mention two real things. And that's one, who the priests are, and two, the priest attire.
Right.
Like, so, say that saying verse, really 1 through 4, but just to get there, it says, and thou shalt speak unto all that are wise-hearted, whom I have filled with the spirit of wisdom, that they may make Aaron's garment to consecrate them, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office. Verse 5, and they shall make holy garments for Aaron thy brother and his sons, that they may minister unto me in the priest's office. And then, so that's saying Aaron and his sons, those are who's going to minister as the priest. But then, when you get to the end of chapter 28, verse 43, just to kind of make it more clear, it says, basically, this is what they need to wear or they'll die. And it shall be a statute forever unto him and his seed after him. So, like, this is for Aaron and his seed. These are who the priests are, and this is the attire that they need to have on. You know what I mean? So, that's kind of what, this chapter was talking about.
And even like this, we're gonna see Hebrews more and more as we go through a lot of this, because Hebrews is read the book of Hebrews. Read the book of Hebrews. Some of it may be a bit confusing without as much context for some of this. But that's what, a lot of Exodus, Leviticus, the context of what Hebrews is talking about is Exodus, Leviticus, Genesis too. Really, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, and a bit down too. But primarily those five. And it spends a lot of time talking about the Levitical priesthood, referring to here and Aaron, because Aaron was, as we can remember before, even I think it was Exodus 5, where they shouted out his genealogy. He was a descendant of Levi, so he was from the tribe of Levi. But specifically Aaron, like you pointed out, Aaron, his lineage were the lineage through which the priests would come. And
we see, sorry to cut you off, but just real quick, we see it really was like that from the beginning. Like he said, you're going to be Moses, you're going to be unto God, and Aaron is going to be as the priest. Yeah. So, and that's kind of where it started. But go ahead.
No, absolutely right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But even, I kind of lost my train of thought. But, yeah, no, you're fine. But even, Aaron, him being the set to be the priest and the lineage to carry down his line, it was still even there. You read again Hebrews 5, and then talk about Hebrews 7 as well, where they had the Levitical priesthood had a lot of good, and it had a lot of it had a great purpose, but which the purpose that the priesthood was meant to fulfill was ultimately fulfilled by Christ. Again, and that's like Hebrews 5 or Hebrews 7. That's why he said they call there Christ a priest after the order of Melchizedek. Which again, if you remember from back in Genesis, Melchizedek was the king of Salem. He was both priest of the Most High God and king, which is like the order of which Jesus is. He's both the king and the priest. So, and when he died, the same way we kind of briefly talked about with the veil, he fulfilled what the duty of the priest was. Because the priest, like sort of mentioned before with the atonement, would go behind the veil. And like sort of the name suggests, atonement was for sin. It was meant to get the sins off. We're skipping ahead a little bit, but you'll see a lot more in like Leviticus 23. But it was meant to take away the sins from the people. That was the purpose of the atonement, like the name suggests. And that is what Christ fulfilled. He was the priest, and he was also the sacrifice. He was the blood that needed to be shed for the New Testament. He was the lamb that was slain from the foundation of the world. He was both. Again, I'm all in all. I'm the beginning and the end. So on and so forth, right? And Christ yesterday, today, and forever. So, but like again, still the point, you see the beginning of all. You see the Lord set these things up for that fulfillment down the line.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. 28. Do you want to call it here? Because like, from there we just go more into the job of the priests.
Yeah, that's cool. Dang, I was just gonna say something, but I forgot. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Alright, cool. Yeah, so Exodus 28, I guess that's where we'll call it for today. I think, I may as well, I've said like Hebrews, like 5 and 7, like 15 times, so I may as well I want to read one of the spots I quoted, like 5 times. Where am I flipping?
I was so like...
I think it's one of those things when you're talking and you're not really paying attention to what you're doing. But I quoted it so many times, but it's really like it's really what I see the more we read through like Exodus, and like we saw it. I mentioned it, and we saw it a lot in Genesis, but like especially now that we're in Exodus, like we see it again and again. These are the things that the Lord has set up in order to fulfill. All of it really still pointing to Christ, right? So this is just, I'll read Hebrews 6 and 20, which will go directly into Hebrews 7 and 1. That's how I'll do this, right? Whither the forerunner is for us entered, even Jesus. So, I shall read 19. I'll just read 19 and 20. So this is Hebrews 6 and 19. Which hope we have as an anchor of the soul, both sure and steadfast, and which entereth into that within the veil. So here Paul is even just talking about, which is the writer of Hebrews, is talking about like the reward in which we are waiting for. It's like 1 Corinthians 15 we'll talk about, like, is the immortality, right? The redemption of our souls, like this mortal upon immortality, this corruptible upon incorruption, right? We're waiting for like the first resurrection to be raised with the Lord, right? And like Christ is the first fruits of that resurrection, right? Because he raised with a new body. He was a spirit being. But that being said, right? So this is what we're waiting on, and which entereth into that within the veil. Referring to what? 20. Whither the forerunner is for us entered, even Jesus. So Jesus has, like the high priest would, entered behind the veil. Even Jesus made him high priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. So now 7 and 1. For this Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High God, who met Abraham returning from the slaughter of the kings and blessed them. That's what we saw in Genesis. To whom also Abraham gave a tenth part of all. First being by interpretation king of righteousness, and after that also king of Salem, which is king of peace. Without father, without mother, without descent, having neither beginning of days nor end of life, but made like unto the Son of God, abideth a priest continually. Or even where he talked about a bit before, how Moses, like the prophet like unto Moses, where he is the intercessor, he is the priest between us and God. Now consider this, how great this man was, unto whom even the patriarch Abraham gave the tenth of the spoils, and verily they that are of the sons of Levi, who receive the office of the priesthood, that's what we just saw in Exodus, have a commandment to take tithe to the people according to the law. We'll see that happens later as well. That is of their brethren, though they come out of the loins of Abraham. But he whose descent is not counted from the received tithes of Abraham, and blessed him that had promises. That's talking about Christ, or Melchizedek, when he received tithes of Abraham. And without all contradiction, the less is blessed of the better. And here men that die receive tithes, but there he that receiveth them, of whom it is witnessed that he liveth. And as I may say so, Levi also, who received tithes, paid tithes in Abraham. For he was yet in the loins of his father when Melchizedek met him. So what he's saying here is that Abraham, the father of the Levites, paid tithes to Christ. Where he's basically making the point that the Levitical priesthood, like we read about Aaron, always meant to go and lead unto Christ, for Christ to be our high priest, to be our intercessor between the Lord. And therefore perfection were by the Levitical priesthood, for under it the people received the law. So because it's not a bad thing, it's good, right? We've read a lot about in Proverbs about how the law is holy, just and good. I know it's not Proverbs, but about how the law is a lamp, and it is a light, and it is a way of life, and it is a tree of life, right? So if it's a good thing, what further need was there that another priest should rise after the order of Melchizedek and not be called after the order of Aaron, but could make us perfect? For the priesthood being changed was made of necessity, a change also of the law. For he of whom these things are spoken pertained to another tribe of which no man gave a tenth at the altar. So he's saying, but it's moved from Levi to where Christ is to be our high priest, right? For it's evident that our Lord sprang out of Judah, of which tribe Moses spake nothing concerning priesthood, is yet far more evident, for that after the similitude of Melchizedek there arises another priest, who is made not after the law of carnal commandment, but after the power of an endless life. Which is why Paul even talks about in Romans that Christ had to both die and be raised. And if he didn't rise, our faith would be in vain.
15.
Again, that's 1 Corinthians 15. But I know I'm kind of repeating the point. But it's all to that word. Christ is now our priest. Where the Levitical priesthood, it was good, but it was always had a purpose to lead us to Christ. He was like, again, even like Melchizedek in the very beginning, and like the lamb slain from the foundation of the world, is always meant to bring us and lead us to him. And that's why I kept calling it this whole time. So I thought we might as well read a bit of it. But definitely read the book of Hebrews yourself. But, yeah. With that, I think we are finished. Yeah? So today we got some good reading done. Read a lot about the law. We read about the building of the Ark of the Covenant, building of the tabernacle, how it's set up, Aaron and his sons and his lineage being consecrated as the priests of the Lord. And we'll even get to see more of that in terms of not only a bit of their duties, but also how the Lord would make them clean and to consecrate them unto him. Yeah. With that, do you have anything else you want to say?
No. The only thing, like we just read, what do you say? With everything he's told us, be circumspect.
Yeah.
Make sure that we're doing it,
Yeah. Ephesians 5, walk circumspectly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. That being said, thank you for joining us for today's Bible reading. Lord willing, we'll see you next time. Say, show yourself approved unto God. All scriptures given by the inspiration of God is good for knowledge, rebuke, reproof, instruction, correction. Always remember to be kind. Patience is a virtue. Charity is the bond of perfectness. All these other things. Always these Bible study times are great, but always remember to read on your off time. You have to be diligent. Like it said, study and show yourself approved. That's something continually. You have to meditate on His Word day and night, and you have to put on that mind of Christ. And sometimes it can be difficult, but that is what the Word is there to do. It's to fill you with the Spirit of God. And it gets easier over time the more you fill yourself with the Spirit of God. Just like even what we talked about today with the Proverbs. The more you seek after the Lord, the more you diligently seek after His wisdom and His understanding and His Word and His law, the more you will receive from the Lord. Yeah. All that being said, thank you very much again for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Yeah.
Peace.
Peace.